Welcome to the broadcast. This is Leland Best over at Leland Best Live, getting ready for a huge show today. So just waiting on my guest. She's had a little trouble with her computer here this afternoon, and she's just getting rebooted up, and we'll have her out here shortly. So we're just going to wait it out in the wings. I'm going to make sure that I get this shared out, test the audio on the broadcast. Hold on one second, please. We got a couple people out there. I see Anna and Robert Hicks and a couple others. Who else is out there? We got Zishan Ali. Hey, thanks for coming by today. So just working out the few little remaining bugs that she had her computer freeze right before the broadcast. So we're just waiting for her to show up. Once she does, we'll bring her out. So I hope everybody's excited. Angeline Longshore is someone who has been in broadcasting for over 15 years as an Emmy-nominated TV producer. She's worked with NBC, CBS, Discovery, USA, among other local channels in the California area for CBS News 2 and I believe Channel 9. So we'll clear all those factors up when we get her out here. But I'm really excited to have Angeline on the show today because we're going to talk about something specific to what she's doing now. She's kind of gotten away from the producer's end of things and wants to start doing her own shows and her own broadcasts. So I'm kind of excited for her. She's getting into the live streaming aspect. I met up with her recently in a broadcast by chance, really. Someone, thanks to, honestly, Brigitte Lambamba over there in South Africa. She put me in touch with Angeline because she was looking for some software to use for her broadcasts. And Brigitte knew that I was using vMix. But what we realized was that Angeline was all on Apple software. So she was running an iMac and iPhones and all that. And vMix isn't necessarily built to do well with that type of stuff. So as far as we were concerned, we felt it was probably best to just go ahead and get her connected with some other software. But in the meantime, in the process, we got to meet each other, got to know each other, and we've been sharing highlights and just little things on the back end. So let's see who's out there. Yeah, nothing. That never happens, does it, Robert? We know that for a fact. That kind of stuff just doesn't take place. Okay, she's in now. Let's see what we've got going. I just got a word from her on Facebook, so let's see if she can. There she is. Okay, do we have video? You may have to check your camera. I can't see you. Hold on one second, Angeline. I'm just going to mix screens. So she's going to be in here with me. I'm going to show you guys where we're at. Angeline is in the building, but we have to get her video working. There she is. And Angeline, for some reason, they're telling me they're not hearing you. So let's see. Is it something with me?
My levels are up. Is that too loud?
How about now, Robert? Are you getting her now?
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
All right, we're going to have to do a quick sound check because we had to start the feed anyway. We'll be.
No, am I able to see people's comments here? I'm looking.
You will be able to. Well, actually, that's going to be a good question. Okay, she can hear you. That's my mother, by the way, Diane Geiger, who's out there in the field watching us today. This is her comment for today, and I know you can't see this, Angeline, because I'm using Vidpresso to bring in the comments for now, but we'll figure this out. Just hold on one second. I have some tricks up my sleeve.
Wonderful son.
Oh, no,
you've created this wonderful human being. So I just want to let you know
that. No, I got one right here. I'm going to show you how we do this.
I said, thanks to everyone watching and hanging with us. Thank you. Hang in with us.
I've got a pretty good following. They understand what it's like to try and do this wild stuff that we do in live streaming. So,
for some reason, there's technical issues. There's the talent that doesn't show up on time because your computer.
Don't say that. You might not be able to see the comments. I'm going to have to read them to you, Angeline.
It's okay.
You're all right with that?
It would be nice to react to people who are. I see this as a virtual room that we're in together. Okay, so I think I need to bring my mic closer to my mouth. Okay. That's what it is. Okay, so how's that?
Sounds great. Perfect. The comments are going to show up just like I mentioned. I'll read them to you as I bring them up to the screen so that you understand what's going on, Angeline. I just want to make sure that you're not missing out on those questions as they come up. So we have good sound. We have everything else. Let's get this party started. Let's get things rolling, shall we? Okay. So I brought you out here for a couple of reasons. Obviously, we hashtag this thing as authentic cult authentic cult branding, which I have under your name there. And there's probably a reason behind that nobody would ever understand. But can you just, before we get into the questions, give me a little insight of where we kind of came up with that hashtag and why you think authentic cult branding is something we should even talk about?
Yeah, because this is where we need to be today. And I mean, this is where I see social media needs to shift. And it's really hard for people to get their minds wrapped around what authentic is. I've heard people talk about they're actually, argument discussions about what's actually authentic. So what I believe is that when we are really, truly ourselves and we find that essence, of our brand that is truly us, we're not actually putting on a persona. We're not actually doing any gimmicky thing. We're speaking from that place that is who we actually are and being real and really pulling the curtain back to say, hey, this is what I stand for. Then that's when we get that rabid, fanatical cult following. And I think people are afraid of that. People are very scared to really pull back that curtain. So authentic cult branding, that sounds a little like cultish, but I'm talking about culture, the culture of you, the culture of who you are. And when you are really, truly, truly yourself, and even if it's going to repel some people, that's how you build a cult following. When you are so you that people get it. They're like, wow, that's unique. She's willing to stand up and say that and be that and do that and walk the talk. So that's what I'm helping my clients to do and helping people so that one at a time I can change the face of social media. I've taken on this responsibility to change the face of social media one person at a time, and that will have a ripple effect. So that is, I have a lot of plans in the future of what I'm doing and I'll roll out, but you'll see authentic cult branding is where we need to be. And that's what causes the connection, that real connection with people. Yeah. That's
I think
basically in that.
And I think in a way you've answered the first question I had in store for you, which was what is the primary focus of Angeline Longshore Media, which is somewhat how you've branded yourself out there, but there's other brands that you carry along with you. So can you give us an idea of what that focus going forward with what you have out there? I mean, obviously, if you want to find Angeline, she's available on Facebook, LinkedIn, all those other places. And that's what we try to do is build our brand across all the social platforms. If we don't, then we're kind of missing the whole picture that it's not just, I mean, you want to find your following, obviously, but you can't really find your following unless you put your toe in the waters of all these different social media platforms so that you can really find where that cult following is going to come from. I found mine, honestly, in Twitter for a while, and it shifted. And that became apparent after a certain platform that we were using to live stream from disappeared. And we brought in all this huge following of people through Twitter that way. And when it went away, so did the following. So we kind of shifted into Facebook as Facebook Live started to come into existence. And, I've been streaming since probably 2012, but I was producing television and radio like you were for years back in the day, let's say. Me, it was back in the 80s. For you, probably similar and somewhat in the same era. But it comes down to... it's crazy. It's so much of a shift from the old way of doing things. So what are you going to focus on the most, I think, as your brand emulates?
Well, you were talking about being on all these different platforms. And I think that what I'm helping people to do and what I'm doing myself, and as you said, if you're on one platform and it goes away, it's gone. So what I'm helping people to do is to really get that messaging correct on each platform, specific to each platform, but is a cohesive branded feel. And so you have to actually really know yourself. And so my big thing with all my brands, and I started with a brand called Your Sensible Girlfriend's Guide to Life, is this inner knowing. So that's more of a lifestyle and personal development brand. But what is so important to me is that people get a sense of what is beautiful about them? What is inside of them that must come out, and that they have this thing to share with the world? There's, in a lot of people, especially when they are coming into their 30s and 40s, especially 40s, they feel like there's something brewing inside of them. They feel like, I don't know, there's something I must share. And that is this momentary time. It's Rudolf Steiner talks about it, where in your 40s, Rudolf Steiner is the biodynamic farmer, gives Waldorf philosopher, and he talks about there is a certain point in your life where you are given these gifts that are just inside of you, that feel like they just have to come out into something. And so really what I really feel is that each person, I want to help them to express that, but you have to know yourself. You have to go in and find what that is before you can express it. And then when you express it, that you express it in a way that is true to who you are, and then cohesive across all platforms, whether it's in real life, like we're talking here, or virtual. I feel like this is real life. I really do. I feel like this has now become my real life, and I think for so many people. So wherever we are, that we walk that talk, and we are that brand, which sounds like very commercial. It is what encapsulates who you are, and it's just one word. Some people haven't kind of take offense to that brand, like so material, but it really is something that you can showcase so that people can get you and you can help them. So really, to me, it's about giving your gifts out there to the world so you can help people. That's basically what I'm trying to do with all my brands.
Yeah, I think everyone has a story to tell in one form or another, and it's really learning what that story is that you have. It's taken me years, honestly, to realize I had a story, and some of it developed over time, and there's still a lot of it that I haven't been able to really cohesively put together in a form that would be something presentable, that I feel presentable anyway. And that's, I think, part of our stumbling block, is that we think everything has to be perfect, that we have to make this brand, You Inc., let's say, because I've used that term since 2012. It was that you inside you is your brand. That's your company, let's say, that it has to be discovered, but you also have to find a way to wrap it. You have to put some kind of package together. And otherwise, you're just kind of throwing things out there and hoping they land on people and that they stick. But most of the time they won't if you don't have some sort of cohesive branding. It took me a long time to get to Leland Best Live and BCB Live, which is the corporation Best Conception Broadcasting that I use to put everything under. So it does take a lot of development and a lot of know-how as to how to brand yourself. But with people like you, this is the purpose you've put into place. You want to help people develop that brand, and I have to commend you on that, because that's a hard task to do for others. It really is.
It's not hard for me, but I see what a lot of people are doing, and I'll probably get into why it's not hard for me. But I see what people are doing. They are posting on social media because they want to try to engage. There's this really want to get themselves out there, but how they're posting is not showing really who they are, because maybe they actually haven't done the work to know what their brand narrative is, what they really stand for, what they believe in. And it's also scary. A lot of people, they think about really revealing that truth, and they're like, no, I'm going to offend somebody. And I've heard this a lot. And so it is that thing that you're scared of that draws people in, actually. And so it's really helping people to get over those mindset issues of self-worth also, of that what they have and what they are is good enough. It's not even just good enough. It's like, people need you. And so many people need to hear that, and to not just those words, but to be shown what it is that they have a value that people actually need, and to hone down to the essence of those things that are so unique to them. So I call it 10xing yourself. Like once you find what that is, then you can 10x that so that people can actually hear your message. But it's not what some people think. Some people think, I'm going to do this shtick. I'm going to find that thing that makes me seem like I'm like so different.
Yep.
And there is, and it sort of works. There was just to get into a little short story. There is a very popular Republican talk show host that I know, I've privy to this information, not many people know this, that he decided that he was going to be contrary and extreme. And you can only guess who this is. But he really isn't that extreme. Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, he rose to be one of the like really major players of who we think of when we think of a Republican talk show host. And so he took that as a shtick. It was like, I'm going to pretend. And he became that person. But in actuality, he actually wasn't. So see, that to me, that is not authentic. You can reach fame, but at the core, things happen to these people that do that, Absolutely. That they fall flat at a certain point and they don't gain the respect, the true respect and the true following that will stick with them. So what I say, when people are sold on you, they will stick through whatever variations of brands and businesses and things that you go through, because they get you in particular. And what you know is you doesn't go away if you are truly you, even if it is a little bit out there. So that's really that thing that I feel like I really want to get across, that fear is what you need to walk toward.
Yes. That's what I had to do. I tried to sell mobile apps for a while. And it's funny you brought up the word shtick, because I actually used I had a com address called AppShtick. And that was what I was trying to promote as my somewhat brand at the time. But that was before I understood fully what it meant to just put yourself out there. I was trying to be that facade. I was trying to have that mask over me that said, no, I'm this, this is what I do. I'm cool because this is what I do. And yet it wasn't me. It just wasn't. There was nothing there to represent myself. I was trying to represent something that was artificial. And I'm glad I pulled away from that 5 or so years ago to know that wasn't going to work. And I should have known better beforehand, but I was in the corporate world. I dealt with a lot of engineering types, and that was where I was at. I was always behind the scenes. I was the technical guy anyway. So for me to get back on camera after 30 some years, not being on camera, it was significant in the change that I had to go through, because when I started back on camera again, I thought I had to be a persona. I had to be an actor. I had to be somebody I wasn't. And I learned the hard way, really, that it would just take time, but it worked itself out.
That's one of the things that I help with people with, especially getting on camera, is that feeling that you have to be this big personality, because we think about the movies. I mean, we're used to thinking about TV stars, movie stars, and that they're these big people. And so we expect that. And then now that we are mini celebrities on our news feeds, people actually curate their news feeds so that they feel like they have to compete in that big way, in that way that everybody wants them to be, or they think that is successful, and show that they are this great thing and whatever shtick that is. And so, it's that's what I want to change too, is the face of social media, with people who are getting more and more depressed. I'm sure you've heard the study, people getting more and more depressed, looking at their news feeds, comparing themselves to other people, especially young people. And it's shaping their self-image. And so, we're raising this generation, these generations of people who are comparing themselves to what's not really real. It's these, successful, cool, news feeds that, like we're doing the shtick. Everybody, who feels like they need to be something other than they're not. But what I really want to show is how success, true long-lasting success, is from being completely real. Not bringing in the drama of your life, but to be inspiring in the parts of you that are really amazing. And everybody has something that's really amazing. I'm sure because you interview people and you find that thing. You're like, wow. Yeah. Everyone has that amazingness, that story.
And,
Yeah,
and
and
when I
even,
do,
with your, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, when I do my interviews, I prefer an organic approach. As I told you when we first met, I gave you a list of a few questions that I would possibly ask you, but I knew when you get into a one-on-one like this, that if you really want to show the show for what it could be, and that's to open up the doors of who these people really are. I love the personality behind the brand. So I like to kind of play on the questions as they're answered and listen to the guests that I have and say, oh, now there's something I didn't know, or there's something I'd like to talk more about, rather than lead in with a script and come out here and try to script a show, because that's all we ever see on television anymore is a script. And I think people have come to the point where they've really gotten over it. They really don't want. That's why reality television has taken such a huge leap over the last 5 or 10 years. People just want to watch real people, honestly, I think, what it comes down to. However unorthodox or however chaotic or however dysfunctional they are, doesn't really matter. It's because
And
they
I've
can
been in those
relate.
production houses,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
where they are scripting those shows,
Yep.
and you see them edit those pieces because how can something be so compelling
Yeah.
all the time, every second, if it's real life? But yeah, go ahead.
And I see them take that same content and twist it before it's broadcast, because I know my wife and I will sit down for like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette or some of these, Fantasy Island type things. And it's just, you see them delivered as commercials on television and you think one thing's going to happen, but it's because they've pieced together all these clips to make it look like something's going to take place. And then when you get on the show or you watch the broadcast, it's like, wait a minute, that has nothing to do with what looked like was going to happen. So there's obviously a little bit of play action taking place behind the scenes to make it more dramatic, but it's a lure. Obviously, it's to bring people into the show to watch it. But when we get there, are we really disappointed? I think sometimes I am. When I see the final production, I'm like, wow, that was not what I wanted to watch. But I think the draw to drama has gotten a little overrated, and I would prefer to connect with someone. That's why I do a lot of broadcasting overseas. And it's one of those things where I'm seeing another side of the world that I would have never seen just watching television or even just browsing the internet. It's only until I started to connect with the actual people across the world on the other side of the globe that I got to understand them as people and understand their struggles and their daily, motivation that keeps them going under even the most extreme conditions. So I can only say it's the people. It's really the connecting of the people that's most important. And along those lines, I just want to ask a question with that in mind is, how does your audience participation play into the success of what you're doing now in live stream? I mean, how are you collaborating with the people that come to your shows, or how does that work out for you?
Well, I have been doing virtual summits for my lives. I pretty much jumped in live, doing live when Be Live became a thing. At least it became a thing for me. I don't know, maybe they were around before, but I heard about it. And as soon as I heard about it, I literally used Be Live for the first time on a virtual summit, a 3-day virtual summit. And that was back in November. So no, I know things have been happening way before that, but I was using Facebook Live, and I think it's really that engagement with the audience and the live factor that makes it so compelling, that it's not just a one-way monologue. You're not just talking and broadcasting. So that's what's so different. And that's why a lot of broadcasters have not really gotten their minds wrapped around how to utilize this in a way, because they're used to being that person with that persona and being the authority, saying those words. And instead, you can create such amazing connections with people when you're interacting with them live and bringing them in. So to me, it's about bringing people in, which is why I wanted to see the comments just so I could
I understand.
feel them.
There hasn't been a whole lot. Okay. Yeah, I'll be honest, there
Okay.
hasn't been a lot of commotion going on. We've only got a couple viewers here presently, and I've shared out to a couple sources. There's some different people broadcasting today as well at our same time slot that popped up last minute that I saw. Daryl Eves from YouTube is one of them that came out recently, and he's got the VidCon Summit coming out in LA very shortly. So a lot of people will jump over to YouTube and watch that. And there's just, it's a time frame thing sometimes as well. I think that when we come out here during the day, even though it's in the afternoon for us here in the States, you're over there in the morning. So it's dependent on really where everybody shuffles in. And I found 3:30 or so to be really good for those people who like this type of content. But sometimes it's a hit or miss. You really don't know. It's the replay that will get a lot of action, though, in the end. And that's really what we're looking forward to. So, all right.
Yes.
But I have Robert. Hicks is actually a producer. He's out there. He does a lot of live stream work himself with Hicks Media. So he's pretty well known in these circles, and some of his people are out there. But the only comments I've gotten are really about my Hawaiian shirt. That they want they want Mark Robbins to wear one as well. So that comment didn't even get posted. But
well, he was very handsome. Everyone, sure.
Well, thank you. And this is like the only bright one I have. All my other ones are dark. I've got ones with wine glasses and stuff on them, but nothing like this. But I got just a couple more questions, and then maybe we'll see if there's anyone in the audience. I know there's probably only a few viewing, but we'll maybe try to grab some other people while we're out here. I wished one thing we had was more of an ability to request invites, and we can on Facebook Live direct. If we go straight in from the front end, they have a little nice feature where you can push a button and say invite my friends, and just start clicking on all your friends to have them notified. We had the notification go out for the broadcast prior to, and I've got 700 some odd followers on this page that may or may not show up. That's what it comes down to. So
the replay's out there.
Yeah. And that's usually you'll find the greatest return is on the replay, because then you can cut it down. If we want to, I can break this down after we're done and do some other things with it. So with that in mind, what's the main goal of your live streaming endeavors from here on out, Angeline? What do you look for when it comes to your productions? What kind of things do you have in store for those who might not know you or seen you out here yet on live streaming?
Well, I feel like I have not even gotten into what I really want to do. And the technology now is getting so good that you can do, I would say, shows that are similar to a broadcast. And you can create montages and videos that you roll in. And so I am about to launch a few different shows, which will be a little bit more, I would say, entertainment value. I mean, I grew up in the age of entertainment when I was growing up in the news station, because we went from KHJ TV to KCAL TV, which was bought by Disney.
Oh, okay.
And so when Disney bought the station, that changed everything. And so, it became serious, Walter Cronkite type news to infotainment, which I actually love. And a lot of people jumped ship, serious news journalists jumped ship at that time. Yes, it was very drastic. It was at that time we're like, oh, this is just, but I get it, because I did join into the whole idea of news as a public service. And because I really feel like there can be so much good done and it's necessary as a public service. So those people that believed in that, they left because they're like, well, why are we doing these things for visual entertainment, for entertainment value? But to me, I realized that I grew up in LA with a lot of people in the movie industry. And I went to school with Janet Jackson, so it was this area where I was exposed to entertainment as regular life. I mean, to me, it was just, and by osmosis, I took that in. And so when that happened, it was just like, well, of course it makes sense, because you can utilize this to keep people going and inform them at the same time. So what I see a lot of people doing is fantastic. They're getting on live, they're doing live streams, and I feel like it's getting a little bit crowded. And I feel like they're with the same basic thing. And I really think that people can up their game a little bit with figuring out how to actually use live video in different ways, in ways where it's not just, and I'm not saying anything bad about this show, not just two talking heads, which I think there's value in that. There's value in that. But then there's other ways. And I think that people are just getting their feet wet, like you're saying. They're trying it out, and then they don't know where else to go.
Yep.
So I know where we can go because I've done it. When I was in news, I actually was one of the first news producers to do this infotainment type stuff. And they tapped into me because I have a background in beauty. I was a cosmetologist.
Okay.
My dad owned restaurants. So I covered fashion, trend, beauty, restaurants, hotels, spas. And I also did like investigative stuff and medical stuff and all the serious breaking news. But they said, Angeline, would you like to, who in this special project producer area would like to go into a hotel or a spa? And I was like, yes, that's me. And everyone else was like, I wouldn't even know what to say. I don't even know what to do in a spa. I'm like, what? So to me, it was natural. I mean, to me, it was just fun. So to be able to go in and create is something that I've done a lot. So we were the first people to put cooking segments on the air, even before the Food Network. They didn't exist. And I had to figure out how to put together a 1 minute, 14-second recipe with a chef. And this was, this was just novel because no one saw this. And people loved it. And that is what came in. What's that?
Flash food. Let's get this done.
Yes. And that's what came in with the focus groups. So NBC, I remember clearly they brought in the focus groups and they said, women are the consumers of the household. So we're going to create programming for women. And that's what started it. That's what tipped it off. And so I was the producer for NBC LA that was able to. I mean, it was a pleasure for me. Other people were scared. Other producers, serious news producers were scared. They didn't know what to do. So it was so much fun to, really, my executive producer would give me basically like a word and maybe a picture. And she's like, I'm going to tease this, come up with a sentence. I'm going to tease that for the 6 o'clock news. You make it into something. And I love that. So I would make that into something. And we got huge numbers because it was informative, creative, and entertaining and educational. I mean, it was all those things and visual, it had to be visual. So when I'm thinking about doing the live shows that I haven't done yet, but I have planned to do, it's bringing those elements into it where it's not static. People love movement. People like to see behind the scenes. They like to see what's happening. We're live. We can utilize this live medium to show, to have things happen that might be a little like, whoa, what's going on there? So there's so many ways that you can use it that instead of recording, I mean, people are using it in a way where you actually could record it and there's almost no difference except for that live comment interaction.
Sure.
But in actuality, you can take people on a journey, take people with you and tell them that story in visuals as you're helping them to discover with you. To me, that's where we're going. That's where we can go. And that's what I'm saying. This is a live virtual world that is now our real world. So when we take people with us into this live experience, it is taking them on a journey that really now can be part of their world daily. If you do a daily, come on with me, let's see what's happening over here.
Absolutely.
And you might plan a few things out, but just visualize that. If you're a visual person, I am. Like, visualize how that would look, how that would feel, how exciting that would be, and how people will look forward to that. It's like, oh, where is she going to be next? What is she going to show me? What am I going to learn? So when you wrap it all together, that's what's so exciting. And then there's the technical parts that I think people are not utilizing. Natural sound, especially natural sound. Sound is huge. Of course, we can't all use music because there's copyright issues. Excuse me. But we can take people to that feeling. And so that's what I've learned to do in news, is that with really good mentors, to say, what does it feel like for you that you could help that viewer experience? So think about that when you're doing something, if you're out there. What are you feeling? What are you sensing that they can't feel? Do you feel the wind? Do they see the wind? Does it smell like something? What are you feeling on your skin? I mean, like, you may not have to get into that much detail, but in a sense, if you share those details and bring people there, they feel, there's something that turns on their senses, and that's more compelling. So there's all of these things that I've learned in news that aren't being utilized, and then the news people aren't utilizing live. They're utilizing live to a certain extent, but in the way that interacts with their viewers. So I want to bring this all together. Bring the broadcast people. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Let's interact and create that fanatical following and utilize this, and then inspire the people who don't know about infotainment to actually grow that, that skill and that knowledge. To me, that's what I'm so excited about bringing forward. And, it takes time, and I'm a mom. Oh, yeah. I have things, other things that I'm doing, but this is where I see myself going, and I see other people going with my help. And maybe there's others who can do it or are doing it. I don't see it yet.
A little bit. I'll tell you, and I'm glad I wanted to let you reign true with that, because there's so much truth in that. We ran hundreds, I could say by now, at least hundreds of episodes since just back in 2015 out here on several of these different live stream platforms. And what we discovered originally was the organic growth. Okay. It was all about just coming out, pick a topic, let's talk about it, bring the fan base in, let them be part of the show. That was the big thing that got things going on Blab back in the day. And we had such a ball out there because it was a little 4-square seating arrangement. And I had a host, Jonathan Tripp, who does Let's Live Stream out on Twitter now. And Jen Nelson, obviously, from Wine Addicts, and also the ladies that stream out there. And we did tons of shows, and we had a ball because we were always bringing on new people, and we had some high profile guests that came on with us, but it was the interaction of the people who weren't normally getting access to these other high profiles that we were really having fun with. And then I went off on a tangent and started the Nothing Show, which kind of stems from the old what's his name? Jerry Seinfeld, where they go into network television and say, well, we've got a show, but it's about nothing. So I created this walk-in where it was just, okay, this is a nothing show. Let's do something with it. So I would come out with no ideas whatsoever and waited for the people. And then I would bring up current events or whatever it might be and talk about them. And then we just went off on tangents and tried to come up with new ways to deliver content. And I see that being the focus of too many people, is just coming up with this content that's being rehashed, this social media content over and over and over again. And it's kind of a marketer's bubble in some cases, in some places, where a bunch of marketers are broadcasting to other marketers. They want to teach them how to market or how to live stream or whatever. And I've been there. I've done it myself. But I went ahead and I stopped by doing this. I stopped and wrote a book about live streaming so that I would have all the information that I gathered over those years in one place where I could say, okay, this is what I know. And now I can stop re-delivering that content. If you want to find it, it's in the book. Go get it. And then you can take it from there. So that opens up my ability to reign free from the borders that I had before. Now I can come out here. And obviously this talk show was geared more toward the fact that I knew this was where you were headed. And I wanted to deliver that to the audience that I have, to show them, look, there's other ways to do this. It doesn't just have to be an interview. It can be much more than that. And I really hope a lot of people take that to heart and start realizing their creative nature and come up with new ideas and new show concepts and new ways to live stream, rather than just opening up 2 windows with some lower thirds and say, this is me and this is her and this is what we have to talk about. Let's get a little crazy and inventive and do something extraordinary and imaginative, and let's see what happens. I think it'll be fun.
Well, I think that was really brave of you, because so many people are afraid to go there, to go unrehearsed, to not know what you're going to say, and to not copy other people.
It's tough.
And that's the thing about when you look at I always look at all the leaders of innovators, and I love Steve Jobs. And, it's being, I think he said, it's being the crazy one to try something crazy. And, you know, so you don't have to put yourself out there like totally crazy. But what I think about it as taking what people have done, you know, what's proven, and then bringing it forward. So even in my content, I really have this pet peeve about people regurgitating content. It's like, okay, I don't have enough time to read regurgitated content. I want to know, what are you thinking? You know, what are you actually thinking once you hear that content? Then bring that piece of your brain and heart and whatever you're feeling forward. And so it's the same as far as your skills, I believe, in live streaming or whatever you do, is look at what people are doing, sure, and take that and say, cool, those are great. And then look around to see what other resources you have of new technology or new things, and put it together to move it forward in a way that is true to you. You know, don't try to look at somebody else and go, oh, this, you know, I don't even know who, like maybe Joel Comm or, you know, these people who, hello, if you're watching, I don't really know, but
no, you're fine.
You know, I haven't contacted everybody yet. But you know, they're great and they're doing their thing. Yeah. But don't necessarily copy. Look at that and then bring it forward with your own thoughts of, how can I, with my own uniqueness, whatever my background is, even if it's like, you know, hairstyling, you know, which I used to do, and bring that forward. And so that's what's going to make it different. And we're going to create really interesting, different kinds of shows rather than everybody like creating the same noise where nobody wants to watch anymore. I think there is a place for every person's unique voice. And you will build that rabid fanatical following in your shows if you do that. So along with the infotainment, it's really that thinking about, how can I bring myself? And, you know, there's no formula, and we're in the Wild West, which I love. You know, we can make anything we want.
That's right.
Exactly. It's brand new, you know, so that's what's beautiful, but don't be afraid to try. And if it doesn't work, then you pivot, you try something a little different.
And you go on to the next one. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have to give a shout out to Zeph Zan, because I saw her recent broadcast where it's, whose kitchen is Zeph in now? And she's basically taking mobile equipment and she's going to people's kitchens and watching them cook by setting up beforehand and doing a live broadcast in someone else's kitchen. I thought that was remarkable. It was just like off the cuff, out of nowhere. Cool. It's like, who does that? Who walks into somebody else's kitchen and starts filming what they're doing? But I think it's a great idea, and I think she's going to find huge success in that if she keeps with it. So I got to call you out on that one.
Now, I don't want everyone to go and follow people in the kitchens. Now that you heard that,
no, you can't do that.
I mean, think of your own. You know what you love. She probably loves to go to friends' houses and see what they're cooking. You know, so that's her. You know, so think of your own thing. What do you love to do in your regular life? Who do you hang out with, and what's cool to you is going to be cool to someone else.
So what's your favorite platform currently? Do you like to come out to Facebook, or do you like to do YouTube, or are you kind of periscoping it, or are you looking to build your own CD on what you're going to because if you haven't seen recently, Livestream was just purchased out by Vimeo, and that's going to create a whole nother ballgame, I think, when it comes to broadcasting. And Daily Motion's doing the same thing. They're restructuring their entire video content over there. They actually notified me they weren't going to accept live streaming from their partners any longer. I had to write them back. I was like, are you kidding me? Why would you do that to yourself? So I know YouTube's making a lot of changes. Facebook's making a lot of changes as they move forward. We're looking to see 1080p here on Facebook soon. We're looking to also probably find ourselves inside one of Facebook's own little studio production processes at some point, where they'll have these split screens and lower thirds and graphics and imaging and all that type of stuff. Who knows? But where do you feel most comfortable when you broadcast currently?
Currently, it's so easy to go live on Facebook because there are people there. They get notified, so you know that you're going to reach people. That said, I love the ability to do lower thirds and to bring people in. So I use Be Live for my summits because it's so easy to do like a talk show format and to have some professional look and a bug. And then I just looked at vMix, I think with your help, and
Yep.
that was incredible. And I haven't started using it yet. And I'm also looking at Mimo, which is really Mimo Live, which is another incredible. There's just so many new ones that I'm in the checking it out mode, actually. There are so many, and I am more of a Mac person. So I think it depends on if you're a Mac person and that intuitive nature of how you like to interface with some kind of software. So everybody's going to have a different personality. And, the simplicity of eCam is fantastic, but you can only have yourself. So I love to interact and bring people in. So I would say for now, Facebook and Be Live, and I'm excited to see what Be Live is doing because everybody keeps, adding more features and doing cool things. And so we don't know who is going to fulfill those needs necessarily. But I have greater needs than most people because I know from my background of what I want to do.
For up here right now. I get it.
Yeah. And I think that could be too complicated for some people. Some people want to get in and they want to just start live streaming. And that's great on Facebook. Or else they want to add the element of a talk show to have people. So then that could be Live.
Sure.
I would say the quality of eCam is really cool and very easy. But some of these other ones, Vidpresso, really simple too. I think that is beautiful, their quality.
I think we're going to start to impress with Vidpresso as we move along. We've just recently opened up the doors to YouTube, broadcasting from the back end, obviously, but we can create events out there that can be public, private, or at least hidden away so that not everybody can get access. But you could create an email list where you could actually send them only to certain people that you know of and have a private summit, and also import the comments like we have the ability to do, obviously, on Be Live is one, and it's also been done here for several years on Vidpresso, which, if you're familiar with the Never Settle show that Mario Armstrong put together in New York City, they were behind the scenes doing all of the interactive video presentation work for the social feeds that were being done. And I didn't realize it at the time until I got in deep with the guys over here at Vidpresso and working with them. I started to see the connection, and I was like, you guys were on the back end of Never Settle, weren't you? And they were like, oh, absolutely. And then I started showing some screenshots of me on the show with Mario and such. And I was like, well, I was there. I didn't know it was you guys this whole time. So it all kind of came full circle for me. But in the end, we have so much that we want to do with this platform that I think we're going to really show up some of those that are out there currently with some features that are going to just blow their minds. It's some things that have been in the works for a long time. We have some polling features that are out of this world when it comes to using emojis and things within the feeds currently, where you can snap likes and loves and laughs and have voting privileges while the broadcast is going on. And there's other things that are going to be more streamlined when it comes to bringing in guests and being able to share your screen and work with a presentation mode like you had mentioned, and others tend to still use even webinars and as a means to do live production. Yet I used to be a big webinar guy. Let me put that out there, but I was behind the scenes. I was selling the softwares and the platforms to do that production work. But what I started to realize, it was all messing with people's heads in a way to make a sale. And I don't like that type of presentation so much anymore at all. It kind of turns me off because all I see are people trying to tweak others' emotions and lead them to their pocketbook. And I don't think that's a fair way to work in business. I think, honestly, if you have a product or a service that's something someone enjoys or really wants, fulfill that need. If people have a need of your service or product, they're going to come to you if you can find them and put it up in front of them. That's all you have to do. No need to force yourself on them. So, and in closing, what would you like to do? I've got a bunch of links here that you gave me for all these wonderful places that you can be found, Angeline. So I'll start with a couple of them. I have one here for your, I put the splash page up there. So that's a please stand by. That one's going to have to go away. That covered both of us for a second there. Your Facebook page, I have listed here as a bit.ly link so that you can at least find out who's coming to see you on Facebook. And it's bit.ly, which is the bit.ly link that she short coded for Grow Biz Marketing Academy. So that's actually a Facebook page, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, my website's being redeveloped, so I don't have everything listed. That's why I have everything that I would normally put on my website on this Facebook page, which is Angeline Longshore Media. And so if you go there, you can see everything. But this in particular is a marketing academy. So it's something that I've come to realize. I've done some workshops with people with Zoom, actually. And I realized that people need ongoing help with not just producing their videos, knowing how to be on camera and all the technical parts and how to look good on makeup and what to say and all that. But they want to know, a lot of business people want to know, what do I do with those videos? What do I do as far as a whole integrated marketing strategy? That it's not just video. So that's what that is about, is there are people who want that. I'm also considering doing an infotainment type group where, that may be completely different, where people want to learn how to create infotainment and practice and get feedback and, just get better and better and better at their skills, where I feed them slowly over time and teach them how to do what I know could be done. So there's that.
I'm going to take a little different change of view here, Angeline, and I'm going to put us into a Foursquare so that people can actually, when they see you, they'll be able to find you. This is where the webpage Angeline Longshore will take you, which is her Facebook page out here under Brand Yourself with Video. And I'm going to just zoom in real quick so that people can actually see what this page looks like for just a second. I love the little video clip you put together here. I think it's awesome that you show people, you walked by this little stack of cash that's laying on the floor. Like, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're just going to miss out on the opportunity that's out there to find ways to make money using video, because honestly, that's where everything's going. All of the brand marketing, all of the video marketing that's taking place is going to just really skyrocket over the next several years, because not many people are doing it yet, at least not enough to say that everyone's doing it. So I'm pretty excited about what you've got in store out there. And then I just wanted also to let people know what your LinkedIn page looks like. And I want to put that up on the screen so that if people want to find you out on LinkedIn, they can simply go to, I've got it right here, linkedin.com/in/Angeline Chu Longshore. Is that correct?
I'm creating a lot of content. Yes, I'm creating a lot of content on there too. How to use native video on LinkedIn.
Oh, cool.
Because that's I think it's similar to live, but it's in where you don't have people interact with you, but you record it live and it just goes right into LinkedIn. So there's that. And so check me out there, because there's a lot you can learn.
So I've got to ask you, as I zoom into that page so people can see it a little better, have you heard, maybe you've got a little insider view that we don't, and I know LinkedIn is talking about live stream video at some venture or another. Microsoft's obviously got their Skype platform that could be incorporated into LinkedIn in the future. I'm just curious if you're hearing any word on the grapevine of what LinkedIn has in store. Is there any word going through the corporate end of things, corporate media?
I haven't heard yet. It's I can say that it's obvious that people on LinkedIn need to warm up to the idea of even doing native video.
Yeah, I agree.
Some people in those circles are saying, why would I even want to do that for business? Because they're used to that veil of professionalism and not doing that thing that I'm talking about, which is that true, authentic, called branding.
Yeah.
So I think this is good that they're just slowly getting into this. And then they probably are trying to figure out how to bring that in so people will want to use it. I mean, everybody wants to put live into their channel. I mean, not everybody, but these media companies. And they want to be a media company. Everybody wants to be a media company, with the success of live streaming, Netflix, and all those. But so right now, I think they're moving slowly, and it's a different culture, but it is shifting. I see. So I'm one of those people that's helping people to understand how to use video and native video on LinkedIn.
And I'm excited to see what you've got in store, because I know we're only touching on the surface of where Longshore is going with her live streaming career. I can see it coming, but I'm really super pumped up to see what kinds of stuff you bring to the table, because I've been waiting for a change for a couple of few years now to actually see people take control of this media and use it to their advantage and really come up with some interesting, innovative ways to produce video, because it's gotten a little stale and we need to shake things up a little bit, I think, to make it happen. So looking
That
forward
there
to it.
seems to be the combination of skills that I'm not saying that I'm so great, but it's that just that I happen to have this background of not just news, because news is particular to news, but the infotainment part. Plus, I got into digital marketing about 5 years ago. So I've been in the digital space, and then, then also in the live streaming world too. So I don't know that there's that combination of things in many people to bring it forward. And there are some amazing people who are doing amazing video, but to bring it all together, and lead something. So if you're out there and you're doing that, if you want to do something together, I'm actually creating Get Real on social media, which that is in development too, as far as a show, and I have the domain, so the website is not up yet.
So we should probably start using the hashtag, right? So that people know what's going on. Get Real on social media.
I made a statement one day on Facebook Live of it just came out passionately. I am just done with created content and people trying to pretend to be whatever that is, like we talked about. And so I feel like I am one of the people, maybe you are too, maybe some others, to help lead us in this way to get real.
Yeah, and it's funny you put it that way, because I had a hashtag that I used last year and I'm still using it, but not as much as I should be. And I'm going to put them together on this little slide that's going to come out up underneath of us, and you'll see it. They actually got flipped around. Yours is under me and mine's under you, but yours was Get Real on social media. Mine was Real Live Matters. That was really where my hashtag was running with it, was to show people that you really just have to be real. You have to come out here, because that's what matters most. It's not about all that hoopla and hide behind that you're seeing all the time in any kind of video broadcast. We just need to get out here and be ourselves and start connecting as individuals, because if we want to find some real peace in this world and on this planet as individuals, there's a lot of people pulling the strings above our heads that we have no control over. But the rest of us need to kind of step outside of that and say, you know what, we can't let everything else that's affecting the world take place in our lives to destroy us. We need to step out and start to make change in the world, because if we don't, we're not looking very good as the future moves ahead. So I want to thank you for being here. But go ahead. What are your last parting words from Angeline Longshore, please?
I was just going to say that, I am in this world so much more almost than real world. I spend a lot of time here. And so this to me is the world. And we've been, a lot of people, not we, but a lot of people have been using this sort of as this shield of, I'm just going to do this thing over here, but I'm protected from it being my real life. But actually, we are in this space online. This is our world. And so to really shift our minds to say, we really are interacting now as human beings with long-lasting relationships in this way as we do in the real world, because this is our real world now.
Yeah. That's who we are. That's where we're at. It's where it's headed. All right. Well, I want to thank you again for being out here and taking your time out of your day to come spend time with me on my broadcast. And I'm sure if you ever put together a broadcast that wants to get a little out there and offbeat, I'd be happy to join in on something like that at any time. I like to use my creative skills as much as possible to just do something different. So if there's any questions, I've got about 2 more minutes that we can hold Angeline here. I've already taken her over an hour. So I see there's a couple of people out here watching, but if you have a last question that you might want to ask Angeline before we let her go, I'll give you like 20 seconds, because we've been working here from vidpresso.com. I'm the community manager over there. And if you want to come check this platform out, I'm kind of doing a little bit of what you might call unorthodox broadcasting. I'm using vMix software on the back end to bring Angeline into the show, yet I'm broadcasting through VidPresso so that I could do those neat little graphic features that you saw, but Angeline was unable to see until she watches the recording afterwards. But this has kind of been a test to see how well we could pull it off. And it worked flawlessly. I have had no questions, no qualms whatsoever over the way VidPresso has been functioning. But you can come by for a 14-day free trial. And if you want half off your first month, just use the code BCB Live that you see that little logo up in the corner of the screen. Enter that in when you go to checkout, and you'll get half off that price for the first month. So I'm going to let you go, Angeline. For you to get out of here, all you have to do is close that window, and we will see you in the next live broadcast. Sound good?
Hey, be real, guys, and aloha from Maui.
Take care, everyone.
Get real. Take care.